Hi everyone, Natasha back. Hope you're doing well. I hope you'll join me on this short Facebook Live thing where we are going to talk about why intuition is so important right now. And I'm going to give you 5 tips how you can relax, reclaim, and reconnect to your inner voice, otherwise known as your intuition. So last week I talked about getting unstuck, and it seems like that video was shared quite a few times, as this seems to be a common theme in these interesting times in which we live, where the energy is really accelerating and people get stuck in their little eddies where they go round and round and round, but of course they're not stuck. So these tips on intuition, I'm hoping, will add to that process of you learning just to relax into this energy and just go with it. So I want to offer you a gift. I would like to hear your feedback on my content, my presentation. As you know, I'm new at this, so I want to strive for excellence for you so you can have a great experience and don't want to be just talking to myself. So if anybody does have any really valuable feedback that I actually implement, I'm going to offer you a free Kindle version of one of my books, and you can choose. I'll let you know if I use your information. So why is intuition so important now? So it's really, to me, and I've been intuitive for a long time, been using this for a long time. It's actually part of our future and how we are going to communicate. We are moving from a 3-dimensional existence in this heavy, dense matter through 4th dimension into a combination between dense physical matter and more spiritual, and then into 5th dimension, which is much lighter and vibrating at a much faster rate. Like I said in the first session, it's like a propeller on an aircraft picking up speed, and it gets so fast that you can't even see it. And that's why we need our intuition, because we need to be able to sense and see the invisible. And we all have intuition. It's like we have a Lamborghini sitting on our driveway, this beautiful luxury car that can go, I don't know how many, 200 miles an hour, but we ignore that and we get into our old rusting jalopies and creep down the road. So, it's time we get in the Lamborghinis, because the energy is going fast, we're going to need to keep up with that. And if we don't keep up with it or surrender to it, then we're going to find ourselves in a place of resistance and fighting it and feeling tired and wondering why. So it's good to know what's happening so you can be aware of your own energy and know how it's affecting you so you can adjust to it. So I understand why so many of us don't use our intuition or don't trust it. We don't acknowledge that we have it. We don't acknowledge when we're right. And what happened when we were kids, I believe, and I've seen this in many of my clients, is that our parents and our teachers and friends and family, very well-meaning, probably said to us when we were 3 or 4 and we saw our dead Uncle Fred standing at the end of the bed going, "Oh no, dear, you're just making that up. That's just your imagination." And right from the get-go, we learned, oh, I must be wrong. So we don't trust ourselves. It kind of drove a wedge in between what we're really feeling and what we should be saying, what we should be expressing. So thanks, Teresa and Julie, for joining me. Happy to have you on board. If you've got any questions or comments, just fire them at me and we can address them. So what we need to do right now is really get into this intuitive place and get comfortable with it. So the first tip is to acknowledge that you do know the truth. Going back to that childhood, you were probably right. You probably did see your Uncle Fred at the end of the bed, but maybe your parents were afraid or they didn't understand. So you've got to go back and change that story that you do know what you're talking about. The animals in the jungle are the same. They all have this sensory perception so that they can survive. so they can sense danger or sense where water is or how to take care of their babies. And in the same way, we have our intuition as a survival and guidance system. And when we listen to it, we will be kept safe. So I encourage you to embrace your intuition and just say this affirmation instead of saying, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, or I need to go and see Natasha because she's a psychic and she can tell me. Why don't you use this affirmation for you? I am an intuitive, sentient being. I do know my truth. So number 2 tip is you can access your intuition at will. You don't have to wait for some inspired thing to hit you over the head with a 2x4. It's there all the time, and it's available for you to ask questions of it. So intuition speaks to us through in a myriad of ways. So mostly it's going to be through our heart. We're going to feel something in our heart energy, and also in our gut, otherwise known as the solar plexus. Everybody is different. Some people, when they get a hit, they might have achy knees, or they might even get a headache if they're resisting the energy that they're sensing. Some people just get messages in their dreams. There's many, many ways we can receive intuitive hits, and there's no right or wrong way. It's your way, and you might receive energy in many different ways. So what I encourage you to do is practice accessing, asking questions. So go into a meditation, watch your dreams, test yourself what the weather's going to be like on Thursday, and then get a journal and write it down and go back to it a month later and go, yeah, see, I was right. So it's called an I was right journal. And the more you kind of build confidence and validation in your intuitive hits, the stronger it will be within you, the more confidence you will have in it and in yourself. And this is what we're aiming for, is to go back to your authentic self, where you do know the truth and you can trust in who you are. So number 3 is understand that as we're ascending now, that the acceleration of this electromagnetic energy on the planet is not only changing Mother Earth, it's changing us physically. We are being like pushed up like a power surge into our higher selves, whether we're ready for it or not. If you resist it, it's going to be very exhausting. It's going to amplify all your dark shadow side of yourself, of ourselves, of everybody's. As you notice, we can look at the world and think the world's going to hell in a handbasket, or we could say that this amplification of the light is shining in the dark corners and bringing everything out into the light so it can be processed and healed. And it's the same thing with you. So the affirmation for number 3 is, I trust myself and my inner guidance completely. I am safe, especially when I listen to my intuition. So number 4 tip is notice how you receive energy messages. So like I say, you might get a headache, or you might get a message in a dream. You might feel something. You walk into a room and you feel somebody's energy. You might just know something without knowing. That's what intuition is. You can't understand how you can know, but information is flying through the energy waves all around us, and we're just like fiber optics. That picks up on the emails. We are picking up on those energy waves, and depending on our frequency, we're tuning into that particular frequency. So I may not pick up on what you pick up. So be aware of what you're picking up, and again, write it down, and maybe just wait and see, or do some investigation and find out if you are indeed right. Know that you're not always going to be right at the time. Welcome to my world, because I can predict something and I may get no validation for 10 or 15 years. But when you see something and you feel and you know it, it's true within yourself, just wait and see for the validation to come, as it will. So number 5 is remember that your truth may not be shared by others. And I was just alluding to this. So some people either can't handle the truth, they're not ready for the truth, or your truth is not yet theirs. So I keep saying it's your truth, it's my truth, it's not the truth, because we see the world through our experiences, through our personalities, through our belief systems, our expectations. So what you see as being true for you may not apply to anybody else at all. On the other hand, if you see something that's a big vision that you think will impact a lot of other people and you feel like you know it, like I've had visions of earthquakes, and I saw the vision of 9/11 long before it happened, 9/11, sorry, long before it happened. I could not validate it at the time, but when it happened, it was like, oh my God. So write it down like a dream, call it, give it a name, and date it, and say what your feeling was, where you kind of really felt it in your body. And the other thing is, you're not always 100% sure of these things, and that's because the future is not written in stone. We are waiting for people to be emotionally ready. There has to be synchronicity. There are many potentials out there. So what you see may not come to fruition. That does not make you wrong at the time, because you saw that potential, but maybe that potential did not manifest in the real world, in the physical realm. So don't make yourself wrong, but don't make yourself right either. Just say, look, I felt that, I saw that, so that was real for me. I've had a few of those, and so did Nostradamus, and many, many famous psychics have seen things that didn't necessarily manifest. So just keep the faith and keep going forward and validate the things that you can. So while these tips are just tip of the iceberg of so much information, they're very kind of rudimentary, but I thought we'd start with the foundation of really just acknowledging that we all have intuition, comes in different ways. We do know our truth. We can't listen to people of the past telling us that we were wrong about what we experienced. We know what we experienced, so to trust ourselves again and listen to that inner guidance, because it is your spirit guides and angels speaking to you through your gut. So my goal is for everybody to get back to their authentic self, or authentic self, as I wrote on my little poster there by mistake, but maybe it wasn't a mistake, because authentic is a kind of combination of author and eccentric, which I think I am. So if any of you would like to see this in text form, I have written this out on my blog, and I am going to attempt to upload this to YouTube so that people can see it, and it will replay on Facebook. And if any of you are in the Okanagan on Saturday, September 7th, I would love it if you came to my quantum healing workshop. It's going to be at the Akashic Ranch, which is up on the mountain on a beautiful horse ranch. Gorgeous healing energy, and it's just a 3-hour workshop for just under $60, and we're going to do some magical healing in that magical place. So if you want to come, please go to akashicranch.com for the workshop, and if you would like to get the quantum healing, a private one, you can go to my website and book on the online booking form there, and or a reading. So thank you for joining me, Jill. It's great to see you. Yay! I'm going to see you soon, honey, in San Francisco and Napa Valley. So it's time to have fun, people. Just relax, surrender to the energy, just be with yourself, tune in, and I'll be coming up with a lot more tips on how you can really get strong and trust your intuition. Thank you, namaste, and see you on the bright side.